Okay, today's date is October 22nd, 2009, and this is AB. And the main thing I'd like to talk about today is a diagnosis that I was diagnosed with at the age of 15 years old, and Asperger syndrome. And the main thing I'd like to talk about is, I'll start out on how I was misdiagnosed and everything, and how, just my whole childhood, I had so many problems, problems dealing with interactions in school, and problems, with loud noises. I was different petrified of thunderstorms and stuff like that. I had all these problems, and I had no damn clue, what was going on. I had no clue or anything, and it was, basically I'll say that, my whole childhood, some of the hardest things that, that I've always had to deal with is getting bullied and getting teased in school and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, I always had, fixations. I was fixated with street names and stuff like that. Like Peachtree, Dunwoody, and roads like that. I used to tell my mom every day, I want to ride on this street. I had little obsessions all my life. That's just one of the main parts of my disorder that's been ongoing my whole life. And I've always been obsessed with certain types of movies. Like I was obsessed with horror movies at one time. I was obsessed with, movies like The Lost Boys and stuff like that. Creep Show. I was obsessed with baseball cards. I used to collect baseball cards as a ritual back when I was 5 or 6 years old, and I was, I had fixations with a Major League Baseball team, and I used to want certain baseball teams to win, and it was so difficult for me when I was a kid because I got so obsessed with these teams winning that I had a hard time, had a hard time handling it when they didn't win, and it was like I had this just obsessive, train of thought. I wanted the team to win so bad. I was obsessed with statistics. I was obsessed, I could keep track of batting averages and stuff like that, verbatim, on baseball players, and I've always had a monumental memory, an exceptional memory, and not to boast or anything like that, but that's one of the good parts of my disorder, of my Asperger syndrome, is my memory. And the main thing I want to say is, when I was 15 years old, I had a hard time. When I was 13, I had a hard time when I was at public school, dealing with the rat race of high school and middle school, and dealing with the loud and boisterous and taunting kids and everything like that. And kids used to tease me and stuff like that. Just kind of, because I was reserved and passive and didn't understand social cues, they would drag me out and kind of jostle me too roughly, and verbally and physically and stuff like that. So my mom sent me to a private school, and basically she had problems because I had a hard time coming into my own when I was a teenager. I was real close to my mom. I was kind of a mama's boy and everything, and I know my mom loved me, but she wanted me to grow up and be independent. And at this time, she didn't know I had Asperger syndrome. I was misdiagnosed by a psychologist, as having schizophrenia, and I was scared, about that. I didn't know. I was afraid about having hallucinations and delusions and all that, and I was afraid at any time that was going to start happening. And little did I know, about a few months later, another psychologist diagnosed me with Asperger syndrome, which is a form of high-functioning autism. And I just noticed that the obvious signs early on in my life, back when I was a kid, the Asperger was not prevalent like it is today, and I just remember the, like loud noises like fireworks and balloons popping. I was petrified of them, and I had a blood father that was very, very abrasive and very cruel to me about it. And he used to make me sit on balloons when I was a kid, just to try to break me of my fear of balloons. And he used to scream at me and holler at me because I wanted to hide in the basement when there was a thunderstorm and stuff like that. And I just remember how difficult it was for me to have to, deal with my father, and how heartless he was, and how abrasive and harsh he was with me, and condescending. And it hurt my feelings so much because I wanted his love and everything, and I wanted his patience, and I was scared of my blood father. But yet, I loved my mother, even though my mother, had a hard time herself dealing with the difficult aspects of my disorder. I always loved my mom. And even though she made some mistakes and didn't understand certain things, she always tried. She always tried her best to be the best mom she could be, and I'm proud of her for that. But anyway, some of the main traits of Asperger syndrome that I've always known, even before I knew about Asperger, that I've known I've always flapped my fingers and stuff like that when I'm excited about something, or if something happens that excites me, or if something happens in my favor, I do this. incessant finger flapping. I used to shake my hands and I used to have a rubber band, but now I just do it with my finger, and I know how to mask it. When I go out in public, I don't do it in front of people that I think are going to criticize me about it or say anything to me that's wrong. But overall, I can keep it. I can keep it dormant, but it's still there, and I'm not ashamed of the fact that I have Asperger syndrome, because I think there's many great qualities and unique qualities I have, and everybody that has Asperger's has. But anyway, one of the pivotal things in my life that happened is, that prevented me from falling through the tubes was a man named Joseph, and he came into my life when I was 20, and I was in and out of hospitals and everything on psychotropic medication because I had a lot of anger about the people that picked on me when I was a teenager, and my blood father being verbally and physically abusive towards me and stuff like that. I had so much anger pent up inside of me and so much rage about it that I was being committed to hospitals and stuff like that, and put on clozapine and lithium and Seroquel and Abilify. And Abilify was probably the best out of all these medications, and I was put on Depakote and Ritalin, Dexedrine, just about every psycho-stimulant, psycho-downer, psychodepressant that a person can be put on. And anyway, a guy named Joseph Stell came into my life, and he started working with me immediately on my posture, not dragging my feet, making eye contact, and he immediately exposed me to normal people, and people that of all walks of life, not just one type of person, but just about every type of a person there is, from the lower middle class to the middle class to the upper middle class, and just about all of them were normal, undiagnosed people, and I've gotten a learning experience on how to intermingle with people that aren't Asperger syndrome, and I think it's brought out a lot of the best qualities inside of me. It's taught me a lot about people, and it's made me more, less vulnerable towards people that would want to take advantage of me, and it's made me more, broken into society and the social mores of society, and how to interact with people, and how to, and not stand out, and how to fit in with people and stuff like that. And anyway, he worked with me on my eye contact. I'm always aware of my eye contact now. I used to look down when people talk to me, but now I look straight in their eyes and everything. I'm always conscientious about that. And he worked with me on my dating skills. He's exposed me to decent women, by interacting with them and stuff like that. I've learned to interact better with women. I still have a long ways to go on that, but he's helping me out a lot, by exposing me to them, and so, friends of his, and in social situations and stuff like that. And he's worked with me on jogging and staying physically healthy. But the most monumental things he's helped me with is the social interaction, taking me on trips and vacations, and exposing me to friends he had before he met me. And he's introduced me to the county commissioner. He's introduced me to the mayor of the town we live in. He's introduced me and got me friends with the police chief of the county in the state where I live, and who was once a deputy sheriff. And he's introduced me to a guy that owns a diamond gallery, and and he's introduced me to his former boss, who was a concrete tycoon. Not a concrete tycoon, but a concrete boss. At a concrete company, a guy that owns Tri-County Concrete Company. He's introduced me to that man, and everybody that knows me, I've become friends with, and I feel like I know for a fact that if it wasn't for my surrogate father, I would still be in and out of hospitals, still being treated like I was mentally ill. I would never have been exposed to normal people. I would still be drooling on medication, looking down, shoveling, dragging my feet. I wouldn't have the confidence I have. I got my driver's license a year ago. I'm 29 right now, but I got my driver's license exactly a year ago from right now, and around this time. And I remember I never thought that I would be able to overcome my fear of semi-trucks, and how I always thought I was going to be too overwhelmed on the road and everything. And now it's just another day in the park when I'm on the road. I'm able to drive with one hand to be able to get the feel of the road and not be intimidated by semis. And I'm playing the piano, and I've learned over 30 songs on the piano, and I've played in recitals, from one of my piano teachers and everything. And it's just little confidence boosters like this. I've had dates with normal women. Not all of them have been successful, but there have been some successful dates. But even the ones that weren't successful, they were all learning experiences.